The void between stars held no mercy, and today, it held even less. Emperor Vraktos, the Eternal, surveyed the primitive planet below from his flagship's observation deck, his 6 compound eyes reflecting the blue-green world with the same interest one might give to a pest waiting to be crushed. 3,000 years he'd ruled the galactic dominion, 3,000 years without a single defeat, 3,000 years of absolute, unquestioned power. And now this insult. Status report. He growled, his mandibles clicking with barely contained fury. Commander Thelrix approached, keeping his head appropriately lowered. Smart. The last officer who'd met Vraktos's gaze during a bad mood had been reduced to component atoms. My Emperor. The human settlement has been located. Population, 47. The target is confirmed among them. 47. Vraktos tasted the word like spoiled meat. 47 insects, hiding on this backwater rock. And one of them dared to kill my son. The memory burned hotter than any plasma weapon. Prince Zelkith, heir to the throne, champion of 100 worlds, had descended to this mudball 3 cycles ago on what should have been a routine subjugation. Standard procedure. The humans would kneel, pay tribute, or die. Simple. Clean. Efficient. Except Zelkith never came back. The recovery team found his armor first. Vraktos' own son, encased in military-grade battle plating that could withstand orbital bombardment, had been torn apart. Not just killed. Shredded. The footage from Zelkith's helmet recorder showed only chaos, darkness, and something moving with impossible speed before the feed cut to static. And in the wreckage, they found a single human child's toy. A stuffed animal of some earth creature, brown and white. Absurdly simple. Mocking. The child, Vraktos demanded. You're certain it's here? Yes, my Emperor. Genetic traces match. The human juvenile designated Emma Torres is present in the settlement below. Age. 7. Standard years. 7 years old. A child. His son, the greatest warrior of their generation, killed by something a child controlled. Vraktos would burn this world to cinders. But first, he'd make an example. He'd descend personally. Let these humans see what true power looked like. Let them watch as he ended their precious little monster summoner. And then he'd glass the entire continent just to be thorough. Prepare my combat frame, he commanded. Full arsenal. I'm going down there myself. Thelrix hesitated. Fatal mistake. My Emperor. Is that wise? Perhaps we should simply bombard from orbit. The risk? Vraktos's voice could have cut through hull plating. You think I fear these hairless apes? I've conquered species that could tear apart starships with their minds. I've broken empires that spanned galaxies. I've made God's bow before me. And you think I should hide in orbit from a settlement that doesn't even have atmospheric defenses? No, my Emperor. Forgive me. You're forgiven. Report to the recycling bay. Thelrix went pale but knew better than to argue. 2 guards escorted him away while Vraktos activated his combat frame, the exoskeleton flowing over his natural armor like liquid metal. Weapon systems hummed to life. Energy shields flickered into existence. He was a walking war machine, and he was going to show these humans what happened when they touched his family. The drop pod launched with a violent shudder, plasma flame scoring its hull as it knifed through the atmosphere. Vraktos barely noticed. His eyes were locked on the targeting display, watching the settlement grow larger. Wood buildings. Primitive fusion reactor. Agricultural fields. These creatures were barely out of their industrial age, still playing with chemical rockets and nuclear toys. And one of them had killed his son. The pod hit dirt with enough force to crater the ground, and Vraktos emerged into Earth's atmosphere, breathing air that tasted of organic decay, plant matter. Disgusting. 20 meters away, the humans had already gathered, not fleeing, actually standing there, watching him. The audacity would have been amusing if he weren't so angry. I am Emperor Vraktos the Eternal. His voice boomed through external speakers, translated into their primitive language. Ruler of 10,000 worlds, breaker of stars, the hand of extinction itself. One of you murdered my son. That one will die slowly. The rest of you will die quickly. Consider it mercy. An elderly human stepped forward, white hair catching the sunlight. Male, wearing simple clothing, completely unarmed, either brave or stupid, and Vraktos had learned the two were often identical. Emperor, the man said calmly. Too calmly. My name is Marcus Webb. I'm the settlement leader. We don't want trouble. Your wants died the moment you killed Prince Zelkith. He attacked us first, unprovoked. Killed 3 of our people before Emma defended herself. Defended? Vraktos laughed. The sound like grinding metal. Your child killed the greatest warrior in the galaxy, and you call it defense? Where is she? Bring me the child called Emma Torres, and I might let the rest of you live long enough to regret your existence. The humans exchanged glances. Some looked terrified, which was appropriate. Others looked angry, which was foolish. But Marcus just looked sad, and that gave Vraktos pause. He'd seen every expression sentient beings could make in moments before death. Fear, rage, desperation, denial. But sadness? That was new. You should leave, Marcus said quietly. Right now. Get back in your ship and forget we exist. Are you broken in the head? I have weapons that could sterilize this continent in seconds. Your people are armed with. Vraktos scanned them with tactical sensors. Ballistic firearms. Combustion engines. One of you has a knife. You cannot possibly think it's not about what we think. Marcus turned, looking toward one of the smaller buildings. Emma, honey, there's someone here who wants to meet you. The door opened. A tiny human emerged, smaller than Vraktos had imagined. Dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing durable clothing designed for outdoor work. She looked up at him with brown eyes that held no fear whatsoever, and that was Vraktos' first hint that perhaps, maybe, he'd made a miscalculation. Hello, Emma said. Her voice was high-pitched, typical of human juveniles. Are you here to hurt us too? I'm here to kill you, Vraktos replied bluntly. You murdered my son. He was mean. He killed Mr. Phillips and Miss Garcia and Thomas. Thomas was only 12. He was teaching me how to fix engines. Emma's expression didn't change. Flat, neutral, like she was discussing the weather. I told him to stop. He didn't listen. So I made him stop. You're a child. You couldn't possibly. I have a friend, Emma interrupted. He helps me when bad things try to hurt people I care about. Your son was a bad thing. Vraktos felt his blood temperature drop several degrees. A friend? Emma reached into her pocket, pulled out a small object. The stuffed toy they'd found in the wreckage. Brown and white. He recognized it now from Earth's databases. A badger. His name is Mr. Stripes, but that's his cuddle name. His real name is different. The toy looked worn, loved, completely harmless. Vraktos' threat assessment systems registered 0 danger, which was exactly when Marcus spoke again, his voice carrying a weight that made even Vraktos' combat AI pause. Last chance, Emperor. Leave. Now. I don't take orders from prey species. Then you're about to learn a very painful lesson about why humans don't explore the galaxy anymore. Marcus's expression hardened. Emma, if the Emperor won't listen to reason, I think it's time. Emma looked up at Vraktos one more time. You should go. When Mr. Stripes gets mad, bad things happen. I don't want you to die. It's messy. Vraktos conquered worlds. He'd faced down cosmic horrors and dimensional aberrations. He'd killed things that mortals worshipped as deities. And this 7-year-old human child was trying to warn him about a stuffed toy? He raised his primary weapon, a plasma cannon that could vaporize a main battle tank. Targeting systems locked onto Emma's tiny form. Any last words, child? Emma's expression changed. Not to fear. To something else. Something that made Vraktos' ancient predator instincts scream warning signals his conscious mind ignored. She smiled. Go, honey badger. The toy fell from her hands. For exactly 1.3 seconds, nothing happened. Vraktos' finger tightened on the firing stud, plasma coils charging to full power. The humans started backing away quickly, several breaking into runs. Marcus grabbed Emma, pulling her backward, both of them moving with practiced urgency. Then the toy hit the ground, and reality took a lunch break. The air didn't just shimmer. It fractured. Space itself seemed to develop cracks, spreading outward from the tiny stuffed animal like a windshield taking a bullet. Vraktos' sensors went haywire, detecting energy signatures that shouldn't exist, radiation across spectrums that had no names, gravity fluctuations that violated every known law of physics. The toy expanded. No, not expanded. Unfolded. Like it had always been bigger, just compressed down to fit into a child-safe form, and now it was remembering its true size, its true nature, its true purpose. Vraktos fired. The plasma blast hit what should have been a target, and instead splashed against something that ate energy like a black hole ate light. The weapon discharge just vanished, absorbed, gone like it never existed. And then he saw it. The honey badger was real. Stood there in front of him, roughly his size, covered in fur that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Black and white coloring that looked natural and completely wrong simultaneously. Its eyes glowed with something that predated stars, with intelligence that made Vraktos feel like an insect being examined by a scientist. But that wasn't what made his combat AI start screaming evacuation protocols. It was the teeth. When the creature opened its mouth, Vraktos saw rows of crystallized nothing, teeth made of the spaces between atoms, sharp enough to cut through the fabric of space-time itself. Its claws extended, each one leaving after-images in 3 different dimensions. And the sound it made, that chittering, hissing, growling noise that translated into every language simultaneously as a single simple message: move. I dare you. Vraktos, who hadn't felt genuine fear in 3 millennia, felt fear. Impossible, he whispered. What are you? The honey badger tilted its head, studying him with those ancient eyes. Then it spoke, and its voice bypassed his audio receptors entirely, appearing directly in his mind. Apex. 1 word. That was all it said. 1 word that contained volumes of meaning, eons of history, threats so comprehensive they made genocide look like a minor inconvenience. Vraktos activated every weapon system he had. Plasma cannons, rail guns, micro-missiles, energy blades, gravity disruptors, quantum destabilizers, everything. He unleashed enough firepower to level a city block, all focused on the creature standing 20 meters away. The honey badger walked through it. Not around. Not dodging. Just walked, casually, like Vraktos was throwing pebbles instead of weapons that could crack planets. Energy blasts dissipated against its fur. Missiles exploded harmlessly in midair. The railgun rounds bent around it like water flowing around a stone. The quantum destabilizers made reality flicker, but the creature remained solid, real, present. Combat frame compromised. His AI reported in that calm voice reserved for catastrophic situations. Shields failing. Armor integrity at 60%. Recommend immediate retreat. Retreat? Vraktos snarled. I am the Emperor. I have destroyed species. I have ended civilizations. I have... The honey badger moved. Vraktos's combat AI was state-of-the-art, capable of tracking objects moving at relativistic speeds. It registered the creature's movement 3 nanoseconds after the honey badger had already arrived, claws slicing through his energy shields like they were cobwebs. Vraktos tried to counterattack, tried to dodge, tried to activate his emergency teleporter. The honey badger was faster. Not just physically faster, faster in a way that suggested it was moving through time differently, experiencing causality as a suggestion rather than a law. Claws raked across his combat frame, and Vraktos watched in horror as the most advanced armor in the galaxy peeled away like wet paper. The creature wasn't just cutting through metal and energy fields. It was cutting through the concept of protection, erasing the very idea that anything could keep Vraktos safe. Structural integrity at 20%, weapons offline, life support critical, emergency evac. The honey badger ripped his combat frame apart. Vraktos fell backward, his natural armor exposed, suddenly feeling very small and very mortal. The creature loomed over him, those impossible teeth mere centimeters from his face, and he could smell it now. Ozone and burnt metal and something else. Something that smelled like the heat death of the universe. He was going to die. After 3,000 years, after conquering everything he'd touched, he was going to die on this backwater planet, killed by a creature summoned by a 7-year-old girl. The honey badger's jaws opened wide. Then Emma's voice cut through the terror. Mr. Stripes. No, don't kill him. He's scared now, he learned. The creature stopped. Jaws still open, teeth still centimeters away. But it stopped, waiting, listening to the tiny human child who apparently commanded it. Emma appeared in Vraktos's peripheral vision, walking up into the honey badger without any fear whatsoever, reaching up to pat its flank like it was a pet rather than a reality-breaking horror from beyond comprehension. "Good boy," she said softly. "You protected us. But he's leaving now. Right, Mr. Emperor?" Vraktos couldn't speak, could barely think. His mandibles clicked uselessly, trying to form words that wouldn't come. Marcus knelt beside him, meeting his eyes with an expression of grim satisfaction. "My granddaughter is a sweet child, Emperor. Kind, gentle, loves animals and plants and fixing broken things. But when she was 4, something found her. Something from Earth's wild places. Something that decided humanity needed a guardian, and it chose her. We call it Mr. Stripes because that's what she named it, but we have no idea what it really is." "Monster," Vraktos managed to croak. "Protector," Marcus corrected. "And that's why we don't explore the galaxy, Emperor. Why we stay here on our little backwater planet. Because Emma isn't unique. She's just the first. There are 17 more children like her scattered across Earth, 17 more bonded pairs. And if anyone threatens humanity, if anyone decides to invade, subjugate, or conquer," the old man leaned closer, and Vraktos saw steel in those human eyes. "All 17 bonds activate simultaneously, and whatever's left of the attacker becomes a warning to the rest of the galaxy. Your son? He attacked us, killed our people." Mr. Stripes responded appropriately. "That's why you found so little of him." The honey badger was being gentle. "Gentle?" The word came out as a wheeze. Emma patted Mr. Stripes one more time, and the creature began to shrink, fold, compress back into its toy form. Within seconds, it was just a stuffed animal again, lying in the dirt, looking completely harmless. She picked it up, hugged it close, then looked at Vraktos with those 2 calm eyes. "Tell everyone to leave us alone. We don't want to hurt anybody. We just want to live quiet. But if they make us defend ourselves again, next time Mr. Stripes won't stop, and neither will his friends." Vraktos's emergency beacon finally activated. A teleport beam locked onto his signature, beginning to pull him back to his flagship. As reality blurred and his body dematerialized, the last thing he saw was Emma Torres, 7 years old, holding a stuffed badger and waving goodbye like he was just a visitor who'd overstayed his welcome. The last thing he heard was Marcus's voice, carrying a final warning. "Tell them all, Emperor. Earth is off limits. Forever." The medical bay of the Imperial flagship smelled like burnt ozone and humiliation. Vraktos lay on the regeneration table while automated systems repaired his shattered armor plating and cracked exoskeleton. His personal physician, Dr. Kelva, worked silently, her 4 manipulator arms moving with practiced efficiency. She knew better than to ask questions when the Emperor looked like he'd been fed through a recycling processor. "How bad?" Vraktos finally asked. 3 fractured vertebral segments, 17% armor loss, internal hemorrhaging in your secondary heart, and enough psychological trauma markers to fill a psychiatric ward. Kelva paused, one eye stalk swiveling to meet his gaze. "My Emperor, what happened down there?" "We're leaving. Full retreat. Set course for the core systems, maximum speed." The entire medical bay went silent. Nurses stopped moving, equipment hummed without purpose. Even the automated systems seemed to pause in disbelief. "My Emperor," Kelva said carefully, "we have a full battle fleet in orbit. 700 ships. Enough firepower to crack this planet's crust. You want us to run from 47 primitives? I want us to survive." Vraktos sat up despite his injuries, ignoring the pain. "And if we stay here, we won't. Issue the order. Now." Commander Ferrix entered the bay, his scales flushed with confusion. "My Emperor, the fleet awaits your command. Should we commence bombardment protocols? The human settlement is defenseless. The settlement is protected by something that made our most advanced combat frame look like a child's toy. We leave. Immediately. But our honor demands. Our honor can survive a tactical retreat. Our species cannot survive 17 of those things hunting us across the galaxy." Vraktos pulled up holographic displays, accessing his helmet recorder footage. "Watch this. All senior officers. Right now." Within minutes, his command staff had assembled. 12 of the most decorated military minds in the Dominion, veterans of countless campaigns, conquerors who'd never known defeat. They watched in silence as the footage played. The honey badger materializing, the weapons failing, the combat frame being shredded like tissue paper. When it finished, nobody spoke for a full 30 seconds. Finally, Admiral Korix broke the silence. What in the name of the void was that? Earth's defense system. Earth's defense system, Vraktos replied. And according to the humans, there are 16 more just like it. That's impossible. Our intelligence scans showed no defensive installations, no weapon platforms, no shield generators. Just agriculture and primitive industry. Because we were scanning for technology. We should have been scanning for something else entirely. Vraktos pulled up Earth's biological database. The humans call it a honey badger. Native Earth predator. Small, aggressive, known for attacking creatures much larger than itself. Reputation for fearlessness bordering on stupidity. That thing was not a natural animal, Kelva interjected. The energy readings alone suggest extra-dimensional origin. Possibly reality warping capabilities. Definitely some form of bonded entity. Bonded to children, Vraktos added. The human juvenile, Emma Torres, controls it with verbal commands. She summoned it. She dismissed it. And she stopped it from killing me because, and I quote, I had learned my lesson. The implications hung in the air like poison gas. A child, Admiral Korix whispered. A 7-year-old child commands something that can tear through Imperial armor. Now imagine 17 of those things activating simultaneously. Coordinated, angry, protecting their entire species. Vraktos stood, his legs shaky but functional. We can't fight that. No one can fight that. Which means Earth is now designated a forbidden zone. Category 5. No contact, no observation, no exceptions. The Council will demand an explanation, Ferrix warned. They'll want to know why we retreated from a primitive world. Then they'll get one. Along with this footage. And a recommendation that Earth be quarantined by every spacefaring civilization in the galaxy. We lost a prince today, but we're going to prevent a war that would end us all. The fleet jumped to hyperspace 30 minutes later, leaving Earth's solar system behind like a bad memory soaked in nightmares and existential dread. 3 weeks later, Vraktos stood before the Galactic Council, an assembly of 800 species representing the major powers of known space. The chamber stretched for kilometers, filled with beings of every imaginable form. Some breathed oxygen. Others existed as energy patterns. A few phased in and out of reality as their life cycles demanded. All of them wanted answers. Emperor Vraktos, Counselor Thane began, her voice resonating through translation matrices. You stand accused of cowardice in the face of a primitive species. You retreated from Earth without engaging their defenses, without attempting diplomacy, without even filing a proper threat assessment report. Explain yourself. Vraktos accessed the central holographic projector, uploading his helmet footage. Watch. Then judge. The council watched. Vraktos saw their reactions ripple through the assembly. Shock. Disbelief. Horror. A few species native to higher dimensions actually flickered out of phase temporarily, their consciousness unable to process what they were witnessing. When the footage ended, the chamber remained silent for nearly a full minute. That might have been a record. This cannot be real, Counselor Thane finally said, though her voice carried significantly less confidence. Our scans show Earth has no such technology. Because it's not technology. It's something else. Something biological. Something bonded. Vraktos projected additional data. After analyzing the encounter, my science team believes these creatures exist in a state of quantum superposition. They're simultaneously present and absent until summoned by their bonded humans. They may be drawing power from parallel dimensions, possibly even feeding on exotic matter that normal sensors cannot detect. A Vrelnik's representative raised 3 of his tentacles. If what you claim is true, Earth possesses a defense system unlike anything in recorded history. This could shift the entire balance of galactic power. Which is precisely why we must leave them alone. Vraktos countered. The humans were clear. They don't want contact. They don't want to expand. They just want to be left in peace. And if we honor that request, we avoid a conflict that could devastate multiple star systems. You expect the Council to simply accept that a single planet can dictate terms to the entire galaxy. Counselor Thane's skepticism dripped like acid. I expect the Council to recognize a superior force when it presents itself, and choose survival over pride. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Some species arguing for caution, others demanding proof. A few of the more aggressive races suggesting immediate invasion to secure the technology before their rivals could. Then Ambassador Krell stood, and the entire chamber fell silent. The Krell were ancient, possibly the oldest spacefaring species still active in galactic affairs. Their homeworld had been launching colony ships before most Council species had discovered fire. When they spoke, people listened. I recognize that creature, Krell said, his voice like grinding stone. Every sensor in the room focused on him. 50,000 years ago, my ancestors encountered Earth. It was during our expansionist phase, when we believed the galaxy existed for our taking. We landed a colony fleet. 300 ships, 500,000 settlers. We intended to claim the planet, relocate the primitive humans to reservations, and establish a Krell stronghold in that sector. Krell's ancient eyes glowed with remembered pain. Within 3 days, every ship was destroyed, every colonist dead. The humans never fired a single weapon. Instead, animals came. Wolves that could phase through matter, bears that shrugged off plasma fire, great cats that moved faster than our sensors could track, and things that looked like badgers but fought like demons wearing mortal flesh. The chamber had gone deathly quiet. We sent a battle fleet to investigate. It never returned. We sent another. Same result. After the third fleet disappeared, we did something my species had never done before. Krell's voice dropped to a whisper. We ran. We erased Earth from our star charts, forbade any mention of that system, and spent the next 50,000 years pretending it didn't exist. We thought perhaps the humans had died out. We hoped their guardians had gone dormant. He looked directly at Vraktos. Emperor, you were lucky. You encountered one guardian and survived because a child showed you mercy. My ancestors faced dozens simultaneously and learned a lesson written in blood across 300 destroyed ships. Earth is not defensible because Earth is defended by something older than our civilizations, something that chose humanity as its protected species. And we do not question that choice unless we want to join the countless others who tried and failed. The revelation hit the Council like a shockwave. Krell, the ancient empire, the species that had seen stars, born and die, was afraid of Earth. Counselor Thane looked shaken. If this is true, we must establish a quarantine zone immediately. No species may approach Earth without unanimous Council approval. Agreed, Vraktos said. But there's more. The human leader, Marcus Webb, mentioned other children, 17 in total. 17 bonded pairs scattered across their planet. That suggests these guardians are multiplying, choosing new partners, building a network of protection, or an army, someone muttered from the back of the chamber. Only if we give them a reason to become one, Vraktos shot back. The humans were peaceful. They didn't attack my son until he started killing their people. They warned me before unleashing their guardian. They showed restraint even when they held absolute power. That's not the behavior of an aggressive species. That's the behavior of a protected one. Ambassador Krell nodded slowly. The Emperor speaks wisdom. Earth must be classified as forbidden. Not because we fear the humans, but because we respect their guardians, and we remember what happens to those who don't. The vote was unanimous. Earth became the first planet in galactic history to receive Forbidden Zone status without even applying for it. No contact, no observation, no exceptions. The penalty for violation would be immediate exile from the Council, and likely destruction by the offended party's own government before the Guardians could respond. Vraktos returned to his flagship feeling older than his 3,000 years. He'd lost a son, lost face before the Council, and gained a healthy appreciation for just how little he actually knew about the universe. In his private quarters, he accessed Earth's files one more time, studying humanity with new eyes. They'd developed nuclear weapons and immediately realized they were too dangerous to use. They'd reached their moon, and then largely stopped exploring space, focusing instead on protecting their own world. They'd created global communication networks, and used them mostly for sharing pictures of their animals and arguing about trivial matters. They seemed chaotic, divided, often ridiculous, but underneath that chaos lay something else. Something that had attracted guardians powerful enough to make empires flee. something that made ancient entities choose humanity as worthy of protection. A message arrived on his private channel. Encrypted. Source, Earth. Vraktos almost deleted it. Almost. Instead, curiosity won over caution, and he opened the file. Marcus Webb's face appeared on the screen, looking tired but satisfied. Emperor Vraktos, I'm told you survived the encounter and convinced your council to leave us alone. Thank you. I know that couldn't have been easy, admitting defeat to your peers. But you made the right choice. The old human smiled, and something in that expression reminded Vraktos of his own grandfather, dead for 2 millennia. I wanted you to understand something. Mr. Stripes and his kind? They're not weapons. They're companions, friends. They chose us because we needed protection, and they were willing to provide it. Emma doesn't control the honey badger. She's bonded with it. They're partners, family. Marcus leaned closer to the camera. Humanity learned a long time ago that we're not alone in the universe. We also learned we're not ready for what's out there. Too violent, too tribal, too eager to repeat our worst mistakes on a galactic scale. So the Guardians came, offering a deal. They'd protect us from external threats while we figured out how to stop being threats to ourselves. And maybe someday, when we've grown up a little, we'll join the wider galaxy. But not yet. Not while we're still learning. The old man's expression softened. Tell your people we're sorry about your son, truly. But he made a choice, and choices have consequences. The Guardians responded proportionally. They could have killed him instantly. Instead, they gave him chances to retreat. He didn't take them. That's not on us. Marcus stood, preparing to end the transmission. One more thing, Emperor. There aren't 17 bonded children. There are 63. We told you 17 to give you a number you could accept. The truth? Every year, more Guardians arrive. More children bond. More protection emerges. By the time humanity is ready to join the galaxy, we'll have thousands of bonded pairs. Maybe more. The screen showed Emma Torres briefly, walking past the camera with Mr. Stripes tucked under her arm. The toy looking exactly like a toy, and nothing else. Sleep well, Emperor. And thank you for spreading the word. The more species that learn to leave us alone, the fewer funerals we have to attend. The transmission ended. Vraktos sat in darkness for a long time, thinking about children and guardians and empires that learned too late what it meant to respect boundaries. He thought about his son, brave and foolish in equal measure, dying because he couldn't recognize when he'd picked a fight he couldn't win. And he thought about Emma Torres, 7 years old, commanding a force that could reshape reality, using it to protect her family and friends rather than conquer the stars. Maybe humanity wasn't ready for the galaxy. But the galaxy definitely wasn't ready for humanity. He deleted Marcus's message, encrypted a final report for the Council archives, and issued one last order to his fleet. All ships, maintain current heading. Earth is behind us. Let's keep it that way. In her settlement on Earth, Emma Torres finished her dinner, brushed her teeth, and climbed into bed with Mr. Stripes tucked beside her. Through her window, she could see stars scattered across the night sky. Countless worlds spinning in the cosmic dark. Someday, humans would go there, explore, meet new species, build relationships. But not today. Today, they had homework to finish, and crops to tend, and engines to fix. Today, they were still learning how to be better than they were yesterday. And in the spaces between stars, 63 guardians waited patiently, bonded to 63 children, protecting a species that had somehow earned the loyalty of beings that predated civilizations. Emma closed her eyes, whispered goodnight to Mr. Stripes, and drifted off to sleep. The galaxy spun on, a little wiser, a little more careful, and significantly more respectful of the small blue planet tucked away in an unremarkable star system, where children slept safely, guarded by impossibilities made flesh.